presentation slides. So I will go ahead and share my screen. And Sky, if you can help record.
It should be recording now.
Perfect. Thank you. Welcome. Okay, is everybody able to see my screen? Yes,
Yep.
perfect. So welcome to the Positive Family Connections Request for Proposal or RFP information session. Today is July 10th. And just some quick introductions. My name is Nancy Vu, she, her pronouns, and I'm the Positive Family Connections Program Manager. And I have a couple staff here as well. Alex and Sky, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Martinsons, he, him pronouns, and I am one of the evaluators that works on Best Starts for Kids, and in particular, work with Nancy on Positive Family Connections.
Hello, my name is Sky Hayfley. I use she, her pronouns. I am the contract specialist that's supporting this procurement. So I'm also the RFP lead, and I am the one answering your questions when you send them to dchscontracts@kingcounty.gov.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alex and Sky. Okay, so a little bit of logistics today, how to ask questions. We're on Zoom, so you can definitely add your questions to the chat box and or unmute to ask questions during the question and answer session, which will be after the presentation at the end. And after this information session, if you have any other questions that you think of, you can email Sky, who just introduced herself. She's the RFP lead at dchscontracts@kingcounty.gov. And then also all of the questions and responses that will be asked during this session will be posted online on Zoom Grants in the application library. Okay, and so our agenda for today, we'll go over the overview of Best Starts for Kids. We will review the key elements of the request for proposals, RFP, talk about evaluation and reporting overview, then have some time to go over Zoom Grants application. Next, we'll talk about criteria overview, and then time for questions and answers. Okay, so the vision for Best Starts for Kids is happy, healthy, safe, and thriving. We want to see babies born healthy, kids thrive, and young people grow up to be happy, healthy, successful adults. Our mission at Best Starts for Kids is really to strengthen families and communities so that babies are born healthy, children thrive, and establish a strong foundation for life, and young people grow into happy, healthy adults. And next slide is a quote from our CYAB equity statement. Equity is an ardent journey toward well-being as defined by the affected. And CYAB stands for our Children and Youth Advisory Board, which is an oversight and advisory board comprised of King County residents and community leaders with geographically and culturally diverse perspectives who make recommendations and monitor the distribution of Best Starts for Kids levy proceeds. And really, equity is the center of all of our work in King County and Best Starts for Kids. Some principles. So our approach is really grounded in promotion, prevention, early intervention, and policy and systems change. We ask ourselves, what are the good things that we want for our children? That's what we prioritize as promotion, and invest early in our babies and young children. Every child is born full of possibilities and deserving good things. So we also recognize that children and young people need prevention to support, prevention support to establish a strong foundation for life. And we decrease the things that may prevent babies, children, and young people from growing up to be healthy and happy. To sustain the gains made by investing early, to intervene early and provide support to children and young people who need additional resources to succeed. And then finally, we work to change systems and policies so that all communities in our region can thrive and prosper regardless of race or place. And so we take an overall strengths-based approach. Oops. It's not working. Here we go. I don't know why my slide's not coming up. Oh, here we go. Okay, funding basics. So Best Starts was renewed by voters in August of 2021. And the implementation of Best Starts is guided by the Best Starts Implementation Plan, which is approved by King County Council in November of 2021 for the levy, which we call BSK 2.0, that goes from 2022 through 2027. And it's a 6-year property tax levy, and it's 19 cents per thousand for assessed value. So Best Starts 2.0 investments. As you can see here, this is the list that we have our investments in. There's childcare, capital projects, TA and capacity building, homelessness prevention, investing early, so that's our P5 strategies. And then we have sustaining the gain, which are our 5 to 24 strategies, communities matter, and then data and evaluation. So in the previous slide, we talked about BSK sustain the gain 5 to 24. And so as you can see here, positive family connections is highlighted in blue. And this strategy is one of the 9 direct services strategies. There's also 2 other integration and other strategies, which is part of the 5 to 24 sustain the gain investments. And so what is positive family connections strategy? Well, this strategy will fund programs designed to strengthen parent-to-parent engagement, kinship care relationships, intergenerational and cultural heritage bonds, restorative practices, personal development for young people and parents and caregivers, and then really the connections among these family members. And so really the overall goal of this funding is to help strengthen and build positive relationships between parents and caregivers and their youth in the community. So think about that relationship building. And who is this RFP for? Well, nonprofit organizations, community-based organizations, tribes and tribal organizations, and public or governmental agencies. You will also need to be sure that the service areas are within King County, and also have a minimum of 1 year experience providing programming for youth ages 25 or 5 to 24 and their families. And funding priorities. So the focus population for this RFP are youth and young people ages 5 to 24, and then their primary caregivers. Funding cannot be for one-time projects or events, but must be continuous programming. And they can be new programs or already established programs. So next slides, I have just some example proposals that we have funded in the past. So some examples can be, outdoor education experiences to improve like that caregiver, young person communication. It can be intergenerational healing circles, caregiver networks with the purpose to really support the family to the youth relationship and development. Peer-to-peer supports for families, so like having adult to adult or youth to youth support groups for families who maybe care for children or youth who are experiencing social, emotional, and behavioral challenges, and even kinship care support groups is another example. We have a few other examples. We've done, we funded reunification, so like birth families and adopted and foster families reunifying together, are also formerly incarcerated parents with their children. Bridging family cultural identities. We've funded like series of educational workshops about child and youth development. Parent or caregiver of LGBTQ teens and family support groups. And also just opportunities for families to engage together. So if your program has something like family field trips or family dinners or family fun activities every month as part of your programming, that could be a possible proposal as well. So as you can see, it's a very broad strategy, and there's many different ways that you can have a proposal really focused on family engagement and that relationship building. And in summary, so the total funding available that we have is $3,182,000. The application due date is August 8th by 2 p.m. And this contracting period will be for a total of 3 years. So it'll start in January 1st of 2025 and go through December 31st of 2027. And the funding request limits for the total of the 3 years that you can apply for is $289,000 for the total of the 3 years. And the anticipated number of awards is we do anticipate to award 11 organizations with this funding. Okay, and I think next I will pass it on to my colleague Alex, who will talk a little bit about data and evaluation.
Thanks, Nancy. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Alex Martinsons. I'm one of the program evaluators for Best Starts for Kids. So we're going to talk a little bit about data and evaluation. Data and evaluation is an important part of Best Starts for Kids. Data holds us accountable to our vision and tells us what is working and what needs to change, and highlights the impact of our partners. This is guided by 3 main values: partnership to help organizations share stories about their work, collaboration to use data as a tool for decision-making, and accessibility to help organizations build capacity and learn from data. You can go to the next slide, Nancy. Thank you. So when you think about incorporating data into your proposal, start by identifying the story that you want to tell. This way, reviewers can get a clear picture of what it is you plan to do. We recommend reading the RFP carefully, since it will tell you what reviewers are looking for and how proposals will be rated. For example, you may see criteria related to understanding equity or disparity issues, filling service gaps, and meeting community needs, all places that data might be useful. Use it where it helps tell the story and make a strong case for funding. You don't need to spend hours looking through statistics. Data can also include numbers, stories about work with participants, and even pictures. We also have several technical assistant providers available to support with funding data for your proposal and how to tell the story of your work. And this will be covered later in the presentation. There are a few places you can look for data if you want to include some in your proposal. The first one could be the Best Starts for Kids indicator. This brings together data on lots of topics related to children and families in King County, from early childhood development to high school graduation rates. Communities Count is a good place for general information about King County, including population. There's also short written descriptions there that may be helpful if you consider yourself more of a words person than a numbers person. And there are links to other data sources on a variety of topics like education and housing. Community health indicators has detailed information about a wide range of health, social, and economic indicators for many geographic and demographic communities in King County. And some of the most powerful data you could include comes from your own organization. What data and information shows the successes of your programs and the strengths of your community? And you should feel free to share that in your proposal. Oops. So once funded, all BSK grantees will participate in performance measurement and reporting activities. This includes submitting quantitative and qualitative or narrative data to share your program's impact. Programs are required to report race and ethnicity, age, gender, disability status, and zip code for participants receiving services. Proposals will not be required to include evaluation plans. DCHS, which is us at the county, will work with funded organizations to create measures and data collection plans. What we are looking for is to see that applicants understand that evaluation will be part of our work together and that they are willing to partner with us on it. Finally, we have several tools available to help measure program impact, including the Youth Development Measurement Tool. This was developed in partnership with the diverse group of Best Starts for Kids program staff, young people, and provider staff over the last 4 years. And it includes questions on identity development, social and emotional learning, and program environments for youth ages 11 to 24. And lastly, for funded programs, performance measurement data will be collected quarterly and will include participant demographics, which I mentioned in the earlier slide, services, and outcome information. And so there's some examples here of performance measures, such as the number of youth parents and caregivers enrolled, the percent of participants satisfied with services or programs, the percent of participants gaining knowledge or skills, and the percent of participants gaining connection. And then there is also a narrative or qualitative data report that will be submitted annually. And this summarizes program activities and any successes or challenges you experienced.
Great, thank you, Alex. Next we have maybe Sky who can support talking about how to apply in Zoom grants.
Yeah, hello. Hello, everyone. Once again, I'm Sky Hayfley, she, her pronouns. I put the link to the RFP in the chat. Feel free to click on it and follow along if you'd like. As we walk through, and just give me a second to get my screen.
Oh, so I probably need to stop sharing.
Yes, I will take over a second here. All right, is that working? Can you all see?
Yes.
Okay, great. I don't know what Zoom is doing, so it's fine. All right. Hello, everyone. So this is what the RFP looks like when you first, log in. There are, you don't have to log in to see the RFP, but you do have to log in to apply for the RFP. So make sure that you have a login and all of that when you start to apply and when you submit. It's kind of hard to see when it does have that text red on blue right there in the corner that you must be logged in to apply. So there are, on this page, there are 2 rows essentially of blue tabs. There are these tabs at the top, and then there is another set of blue tabs a little ways down. We're going to go over the first tab. These ones, the first set, these tabs up here are informational and instructional, and they can be shown or hidden automatically. They're showing so that all of that information is right there in front of you, but you can close them as you need to work on the application. So first I'm going to go over the RFP overview. It's a brief overview of the RFP and the background and the purpose, and a timeline for sort of the dates that are important here. There is a lot more detail about the RFP in the RFP document, which I will show you where that is in a little bit. So that's the first. The first tab covers some communication things and how to email me. The second tab is eligibility. Please review the eligibility before applying so that you know that you are eligible to potentially receive funding. We have a tab here for application assistance. This RFP allows applicants to have access to application assistance. So this tab goes into some detail regarding how to get access to the application assistance and what kind of assistance is available for applicants. There is more detail in the RFP guidelines and in an attachment about the technical assistance providers, which I will show you in a minute. So this tab here, this is the library tab. This is where you can find the RFP guidelines that I mentioned. There is this questions attachment that has a list of all of the questions asked in this RFP for minimum qualifications and narrative questions so that you can take a look at those outside of Zoom Grants if that is more convenient for you. We have an attachment C, which is the budget workbook. This is required, and I'll go over that in a second too, but that is required for the application. So you can download it here and it will, you just click on it, it'll pop open this screen. You can open it and then it will open the Excel and you'll want to save that locally and upload it when it is, this is what it looks like. And you'll want to upload that with your application in the Documents tab. I'll show you that in a minute as well. All right, so let me close this. There's also, we provided an RFP checklist, this attachment D. This checklist is a list of things that you'll want to complete for the RFP. Ideal for you to go through and check off and just make sure that you have everything you need. And then we have here a PDF of the technical assistance consultants and how to contact them and get a hold of them and all of that stuff. So that is the library tab. There are also these 2 tabs, the contact admin tab and the meeting tab, which are automatically hidden at the beginning. The program contact is me. And then the information session, you found the information session. So the information is there as well in case you want to come to next week's one. Yeah, so that information is there as well. So the second row of tabs is for the actual application. So you'll need to complete these tabs to be able to submit your application. This first tab is the summary tab, where you'll fill in your organization's information and a little bit about the project, like your project name, the amount you're requesting, some information about the applicant that would be you folks in your organization. And then there's this question here about where you are planning to serve clients. Please be sure to check the appropriate zip codes. We want to make sure that there is a geographic distribution across King County for equity purposes. And so please include the zip codes where you will be serving clients. So that's the summary questions tab. The next tab is a determination of minimum qualifications. There are just 2 questions here, one for each qualification eligibility requirement. If you answer yes to both these questions, you're eligible to apply. If you answer no to either of the questions, then you would not be eligible to apply, and you would then, stop there. Okay, the next tab is the narrative questions. These are required to be completed for the application. Each narrative has a maximum character count of 3,500 characters. So please plan accordingly as you create your answers. Zoom Grants just a note that Zoom Grants tends to time out while folks are writing their narratives and take some time to think those through. So I highly encourage that folks write their narratives outside of Zoom Grants, and then sort of copy and paste their responses into the appropriate question box. If you do that, please be sure to clear all formatting for your answers, because Zoom Grants does not play well with formatting from like Word or other word like Google Docs, things like that. You'll want to make sure that there's pretty much no formatting before you copy and paste, and you'll want to double check that everything is making sense and looks like it's supposed to when it's in the Zoom Grants field here in the narrative fields. There are a number of questions. Please be sure to, like I mentioned, answer all of them. And we will move on to the Documents tab. So this is a tab where you would upload any documents and attachments that you need to upload. So we have here, the budget is required. You can also download the budget template from here. In the same sort of process, you would click this upload button to upload a document. And so you need to make sure that you're uploading a budget workbook, and also upload testimonials that, for your project, and make sure that that is, we don't have a template for that, but please make sure that you upload your testimonials there. If your proposal is in partnership with a school or a school district, please also upload any of their required documents for applications in this additional documents section. Before I go any further, does anyone have any questions about Zoom Grants? I'm gonna look in the chat. Okay. Some of these questions look like they might be more programmatic questions. The zip codes are where the service is taking place. So those will be where the service is taking place, not necessarily where the person lives. The geographic limitations of this RFP are for services in King County. We will have, restrict it to services provided in King County. I'm gonna let Nancy talk more about like what a testimonial is and what kinds of information we would expect to see there. And then there are quite a couple of questions here about what appropriate documents what might be for a school district. I'm going to let Nancy, I'm going to let you answer those questions as well. And so the rest of these seem like questions that are probably best for Nancy to answer. And so I just wanted to really quickly go over just some tips for working in Zoom grants. Another, like a note about Zoom grants is there is no save button. When you are inputting information into these fields, you'll either like copy and paste or you'll type what your answers in. And then when you click outside of the box, a little square that says, or rectangle that says saving will pop up in the middle of the screen. And after a few seconds, it'll go away, and that will mean that your application is saved. If the saving pop-up appears and it just kind of sits there for a few minutes, it means that Zoom Grants has timed you out of your application, but has not told you that was happening. And so that happens sometimes. The only way to clear that is really to restart, refresh the page, if you will, not restart the application, refresh the page. But sometimes that means that it will not have saved the information that you put in there. So that's one of the reasons why we highly suggest that you write your responses to the narrative questions outside of Zoom Grants. And that's all I've got. Does anyone have any other questions about Zoom Grants or how who to ask, how it works? All right, great. I will give it back to you.
Great, thank you so much, Sky. Great questions in the chat. I will definitely take the time at the end to answer all of those. And let me try to finish sharing my screen here. Okay, so it looks like Sky went over the Zoom Grants application demo. There's the link. She talked about the determination of minimum qualifications and that there are 8 narrative questions to answer. Be sure to answer all of them to receive full points and the character limits of 3,500 characters for each answer. It's just a little bit of application and budget tips, which Sky did mention there. You can upload testimonials, short videos in the documents tab. The budget, you definitely need to use the budget, or we are requesting that you use the budget template that is provided in Zoom Grants, and to also be sure to develop the total amount requested up to $289,000. And the budgets do need to be spent by December 31st of 2027. And in the budget workbook, which Sky did share, a tip would be definitely read the instructions tab first, then fill out the budget details tab, and the budget summary tab will auto-populate from the budget details tab. Okay, next we can talk about technical assistance. So we have free technical assistance, or TA, is available to support applicants and eliminate barriers that might prevent you from seeking funding. The deadline to request TA is August 2nd, 2024. We do have I think we have a couple technical TA consultants on the call if you'd like to introduce yourself before I go through the rest of the slide.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marianne Chung. I'm with Reimagine Collective, and so we are one of the 8 technical assistance consultants here to support your successful application process. I really appreciate King County for offering this free application assistance to support organizations in applying for this RFP. That main purpose is really to eliminate the barriers, right, that organizations may face for you. So we're here to support you in any way we can. We're not grant writers, like we won't write the grant for you, but we can support you in explaining the proposals, help you with answering questions. We can help you with editing, developing your proposals, budget reviews. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Marianne. And is Catherine also on the call, or is it just you, Marianne? Maybe Catherine's not on the call today. No problem. Okay. So TA providers so they can assist in determining appropriate fit between your program and the RFP, provide guidance on how best to answer questions and where to find supportive data, and also support application review, including editing the budget review. But yes, like Marianne said, TA is not grant writing. Organizations wishing to access application assistance should email the TA consultants directly. We encourage you to reach out to a TA consultant as early as possible. Assistance in languages other than English is available. So definitely let a TA consultant know your language need, and BSK will try to accommodate that. We also encourage you to only contact one TA consultant at a time and allow them 24 hours to respond before contacting any other consultants. And we did the Zoom Grants demo. Okay, application reminders. Must be received in Zoom Grants no later than 2 p.m. on August 8th. Definitely regularly check Zoom Grants for any updates, clarifications, or amendments to the RFP. If you experience technical issues with Zoom Grants, submit a ticket to Zoom Grants or contact Sky, our RFP lead, for assistance. And allow yourself sufficient time to ensure timely receipt of the application or to resolve any technical difficulties with Zoom Grants.
Do you mind if I interrupt just for a second here?
Oh, sure.
Just want to sort of reiterate or like put out there that Zoom Grants can get a little bit slow and a little bit glitchy as we get towards the deadline. As people sort of come on more and more, Zoom Grants will slow down. It will start to work a little wonky. So please, as much as possible, try to get your application in earlier. And if it is, coming towards the deadline and you're really struggling with Zoom Grants, please feel free to email all of the narrative, all of the questions and answers and your documents to DCHS contracts at kingcounty.gov to make sure that we receive it by that 2 o'clock deadline.
Perfect. Thank you, Sky, for that reminder. Okay, so we have a quick RFP rating and review. Definitely carefully review the rating criteria, which is in section 9 part A. The review panel will closely follow this scoring rubric, and all applications submitted will go through a formal review process, and the appeals process is outlined in the RFP. Timelines. So here's a quick timeline. The RFP was released June 27th. We are going to have 2 info sessions today, and then also another one on July 16th from 2 to 3. The final day to initiate requests for any technical assistance is August 2nd, and the final day to submit questions via Zoom Grants will be August 5th. Applications due August 8th by 2 p.m. We will have responses reviewed by our review panel in August, and then interviews with any applicants if requested by the review panel in September. We will aim for notification of selected and non-selected applicants by October or in October. And then we'll have contract negotiations with the selected applicants between October and December, and then January 1st, 2025 will be the anticipated program or contract start date. And additional resources. So this info session is recorded and will be posted along with the slides in Zoom Grants and the Best Starts for Kids blog. You can email questions to Sky at dchscontracts@kingcounty.gov. You will, if you need any technical assistance, definitely contact them directly for support. Sky, I did show in the library section, there's the TA document there where you can find the whole list available of who is available, and you can contact them that way. Definitely see the glossary of terms for a list of relevant definitions. And then there's also a checklist in the library as well to make sure that your application is complete. Okay, and so now we've got some time left for some questions. And I know there were some questions in the chat here. Let's see. Okay, so I think the first question in the chat is from Chris. Thank you for your question. So you have several programs that serve children and youth ages 5 to 24. Do we need to apply for just one program, or can we include a range of services? So again, taking a look at what your budget's going to be. And then also, does your program match, the focus of this RFP, which is the relationship building between parents and caregivers and their youth ages 5 to 24. So it could be, you could have the multiple programs, but they need to be put in the budget and really focus on this RFP as well. And then the zip code question, I believe Sky answered that one. Thank you, Sky. So it's definitely where the service is taking place. Thank you, Tanya, for your question. And before I go, I think Gillian has a hand up. Maybe I'll take your question if you have a question you want to speak.
Sure, thank you. It's actually
Oh.
Jillian.
Oh,
but thank you.
Jillian.
Yeah, that's okay. See if I could get my camera on. So you're not just speaking to a black screen. Here we go. Hi,
Yes.
everybody. The question I had was, I know you talked about some intergenerational programming as an example. Would it be appropriate to do something where there's intergenerational programming with older adults and children?
Older adults, yes. So you mean within like the same family unit? Definitely. So we've had, grandparents as well. Yes, absolutely. So you can definitely propose any program with that.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question, Jillian. Okay. Barbara, I see your question. Will organizations that currently receive Positive Connections funding have priority? No. So definitely a clean slate. Everybody needs to reapply, and it'll be a blank slate for that based on our review panel. So Chris, you have another question. Are there geographic limitations to this RFP? Is this only for services in King County, or can we go statewide? Yeah, so only King County is able to, so yes, your services need to be only in King County. We can't do it statewide. And please define what a testimonial is. So testimonial is there to really speak from any participant's experiences with your programming. So, it could be a letter from a past participant about their experience. It could be like a short video of their experience. We just want to hear about their experiences with your programming and organization. Jillian, you have your hand up.
Yes, I had another question whenever it was appropriate for me to ask.
Sure.
Okay. My question has to do with the evaluation component. I believe Alex said that It's a team effort between King County and the entity that's funded. What if the program has or would like to hire an evaluator? Can that person work with the person at King County to work on measures, or is this strictly supposed to be working with King County?
From my perspective, it would be fine to have like an evaluator consultant join those meetings so that you know, we could kind of collaborate in those discussions early on.
Great. Thank you.
Great, thank you for your question. Okay, so down the list, I think I got that one. What was the next question here? Are testimonials required and what kinds of media are allowed? So it's not, testimonials are not required, but it'll definitely make your application stronger and help you tell your story of what proposal you are wanting to do with this funding. And what kinds of media, you know, definitely you can upload any videos, any audio, any letters, like really anything that you want to upload is allowed. As long as you get their you know, consent. What types of documents might the school district have to upload? And then I see we use the MOU with school districts. Would that be what you want to see in the additional doc section? So yeah, so examples of other documents, if you're working with a school district, would be to upload like a MOU or memorandum of understanding. That's what MOU stands for with school districts, just so that we know that there is that partnership an understanding of roles there with the school district and your organization. And then, okay, perfect. And then the TA question has been addressed. Great. And I think I got all the questions in the chat. Does if I missed any, please let me know. And if anybody else has any other questions that have not been addressed yet, please feel free to go off mute or raise your hand, put it in the chat. We will definitely have space for that. We have a few minutes left.
We will have all of the questions and their answers uploaded into that library section, library tab in Zoom Grant. So please check that. And as we go, as people send in questions, additional and like those questions will also be added to the library tab. So there will be updates regularly. Please keep an eye out and check often.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, the dog is starting to bark. I think we do have actually another question in chat. Okay, so can we use this for external contract partner agencies? Also, is there an expectation on participation rates? So Naomi, are you meaning you want to subcontract?
Yeah, just paying like partnership fees so that folks can work with us.
Yes, that is allowed. You could definitely have that in your proposal. And there's not an expectation on participation rates. You know, it is open to new programs, as well. So, we're not gonna say, you need to have this expectation on participation rates. But we definitely want to see, how you will be engaging community and having community voice as part of these proposals.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome. If we have a question later, who do I need to ask? Yes, please email sky@dchscontracts@kingcounty.gov if you have any other questions. All the questions that will be asked about while this RFP is open will be posted with their responses as amendments on Zoom Grants. So definitely check back on Zoom Grants and try to look at those questions if they've already been asked or not. And so this other question, has community-based small business been funded before? Yes, so we a majority of our funded orgs have been like small community-based organizations or like grassroots organizations. So yes, we've also had, fiscal sponsors as well, support organize a proposal who may not be already a 501c3 or nonprofit. Great questions. Jane. So I said testimonials are not required, but the Zoom Grants page says that attachments are required.
Yes, it does. I can update that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, Sky will definitely update that to not say required on there. I think it was just a little mishap but thank you for that. Okay, do we have any other questions? If not, perfect timing. It is 1:57. And thank you all so much for attending this info session. And I hope that, this was helpful. You can definitely relook at the recording. We will also have another one on July 16th.